Even today, we often hear that pain-pleasure is either a continuum or that pleasure is merely the lack of pain or a satisfaction of a need. In the case of a continuum, we can imagine a scale that goes from the negatives to positives, just as a numeric scale does. In this model, pleasure and pain aren't really that different. They are very similar but vary only in valence, positive or negative, and magnitude, how much positive or negative they are. So each pleasure could only be better in magnitude than another pleasure, but couldn't be different in the kind or quality. Similarly, pain and pleasure of equal magnitude would differ only in their valence, their sign, but not in quality or internal structure of experience. You could, in principle, take a pleasure and switch its sign to make it a pain and vice versa. The second model defines pleasure negatively, as elimination of pain or a satisfaction of desire. Pleasure is seen as the cessation of pain. Under this view, also we wouldn't expect any differences in types of pleasure that satisfy a particular need. And here, the elimination of pain should bring us to a virtually the same state of neutrality or contentment. The naive understanding of motivation and emotional landscape may lead to some strange conclusions. For example, some people saying that what you do is what you most desire to do at the moment. This means that people explicitly desire not to suffer instead of being motivated to avoid pain, and they are motivated only positively to obtain pleasure, disregarding any rules, norms, traditions, or any other forms of behavioral constraints. In effect, you can even say that a person doing something means that this person believes that this activity best maximizes their pleasure. This, in principle, can be said in philosophy, but as we shall see in a moment, science informs us that this is not how things work. This is important as morality, most often than not, is derived from consequences of our actions. And because of that, we better have a solid and accurate understanding of what these consequences can entail. I view both of these proposals as incorrect and outdated. We shall follow various lines of argumentation and try to support some of them with reference to modern science to paint a more complex and accurate picture of pain and pleasure and of human motivation. The best place to start is the domain where we already have a good understanding and a consensus: psychology. When we are trying to get something pleasurable, we are motivated by the approach system. This system recognizes and anticipates potential rewards and directs our attention and behavior towards a goal. You see an attractive person smiling to you. Your pupils dilate, you become excited, you focus your attention on this person. You approach them to start a conversation. On the other hand, when we are trying to evade something aversive, we are motivated by the avoidance system. This system reacts to potential dangers and activates specific feelings, behaviors, and other physiological changes. You are walking alone in the dark and you hear a crackling sound. You suddenly stop. Your pupils dilate even more. You become tense. You focus your attention on scanning the surroundings, looking around, listening for potential sounds. You are afraid. These two systems are motivating us to act. They control emotions and behaviors for anticipated pleasure or danger. Neuroscience shows that there are also separate neurological systems that process actual reward and actual punishment. The reward system is crucial to learning new behaviors and habits that allow us to repeat actions which led to positive outcomes. A particular malfunction of this system leads to addiction. The punishment system is essential for learning what things to avoid or what behaviors to not do. A single attempt to eat a soup that's too hot is often enough to learn not to do that again. Apart from these two classes of systems, negative states and positive states are underpinned by unique chemistry, neurotransmitters and hormones. Various brain regions react differently to different neurotransmitters, chemicals that enable signals to jump from one neuron to another. Some brain structures are sensitive more to particular neurotransmitters than to others, and various brain structures are associated with experience of and expression of different emotions. Fear, rage, pain, loneliness have their unique chemical fingerprint in the brain. Oxytocin plays a major role in certain social interactions. Dopamine is involved in anticipation of a reward, and some hormones, such as testosterone and estrogen, motivate sexual behavior. Cortisol takes part in memorizing acute emotional moments, such as touching a hot stove. Adrenaline increases the general arousal level in a fight or flight situation. All of these hormones have many functions, so to speak. The whole picture is quite complex and research is still ongoing. The bottom line is that on the chemical level, we can differentiate between many positive states and between many negative states. When we step away from the organism itself and look at the things that elicit emotional responses, the stimuli, we also can see separate categories. The stimuli can be classified by looking at them through the lenses of motivational and processing systems. Motivational systems classify stimuli as either desirable or aversive. This is needed to initiate either approach or avoidance behaviors respectively. The systems that handle the effects of whatever it is that caused a specific emotional response distinguish between reward and punishment. Because of this, we learn to repeat behaviors that lead to reward and to not do the things that lead to punishment. These were normal external causes or internal impulses, but the different feelings can be evoked by directly stimulating certain brain areas by electrical current. This procedure is common when patients with drugs-resistant epilepsy undergo surgery to deactivate or isolate the parts of the brain that the abnormal activity spreads from. This electrical brain stimulation may cause the patient to experience many things: memories, seeing things, joy and laughter, sadness and crying, fear, anger, etc. The point here is that it's possible to hack the brain to force even a positive experience without satisfying any particular active need, want, or desire. Likewise, it's possible to bring about a negative state without depriving someone of any particular pleasure. Positive and negative experiences can be evoked independently. And what's more important, you have to stimulate different regions of the brain to get different emotions. There is no single region for bad feelings and no single region for good feelings. There are many regions associated with many different emotions. Let's step away from hacking the brain and focus on the thing we are intimately involved in, our minds. We can say that some things are such that we tend to move towards to and feel pleasure or satisfaction when we get them. Some things, on the other hand, we move away from and we are disturbed by them. They are painful or unpleasant. We actively want to get out of such situations or states. These are very distinct general qualities. We don't just satisfy a need and go to a neutral state or a general state of satisfaction. Our sensory modalities provide us with a wide range of positive experiences. You're hungry. You eat spaghetti with olives and dried tomatoes. When taking the bite, you smell the delicate garlic and basil in the sauce. The texture of the tomatoes becomes apparent. The taste of an olive springs to the foreground. It's not merely hunger going out. The experience is pleasurable, yes, but it's also rich and unique. we're not merely moving from the minus to the plus side of the experience scale. The space of experience is multidimensional. The pains and pleasures are unique, distinct, and the whole space of qualities is rich and complex. The complexity and richness of experience, both negative and positive, made its way into language. Afraid, nervous, ache, loss, regret, joy, relax, awe, content, ecstatic. Words show that we do, in fact, recognize pain and pleasure in all their complexity. We differentiate between various types of suffering and between various forms of pleasure. We naturally communicate with each other using all these words, and we have no problems with understanding which exact experience someone is talking about. In the end, there is a lot of complexity to suffering, and there is a lot of richness in pleasure. The facts about experiences of sentient beings shouldn't be brushed off. They have to be recognized when constructing a moral system that takes well-being into account.